for me, football was the thing.
What'd you play in football?
I played running back and like safety / corner. If I was taller, guys, you guys wouldn't see me here. I'd be playing somewhere else, another sport. You know what I mean? So
calm down. We know how tall you are. It's fine. It worked out a certain way. You're supposed to be doing jiu-jitsu and MMA.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that you're like, yo, if I had found a genie and asked for a few extra inches of height, I would not be here on this podcast. And it's like,
I'd be doing football.
Fam, we got
allegedly.
it.
We'll see.
I was like, yeah, try the statistics of getting into football as well. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafa Sparsa, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. How are you doing today? I hope well. It's rhetorical. Please don't answer. What I want to say is, before we actually get to our guest, who we are visiting here at beautiful 10th Planet, Thousand Oaks, we'll get back to him in a moment, is if you guys are watching this and you like this show, do me a solid. You can come support us by going on over to HY.PAGE /Grappling Hour. What do you get if you go there? You can become a member of this show, and for just $5 a month, you can see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And I promise you this, we get all the top names in the industry. So we make sure that we are getting all the ADCC trials winners. We make sure that we get everybody who goes on who's number one, who's willing to talk, or who can talk. Not all of them can. Just saying. I do my best. And if you like that stuff, you see it 30 days. If you pay a few extra dollars, you can see tape studies. You can see people roasting my competition footage. Yeah, we talk with the athletes and they roast my competition footage because it's pretty funny. And you can also check out a few different elements and things along the way. So we have a lot of different goodies that we are providing for people. And it's my hope that you, the viewer, can enjoy what it is that we have to offer. So if that's anything that sounds interesting or something that you would like to do or see, then please become a subscriber and support the show. It would mean the world to us. Additionally, you can join us, like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube page if you're watching it there. And if you don't know what we're going to talk about in the comment section, like you have nothing to talk about, we'll give you a prompt by the end of the episode if you stick all the way through. And you can also join us on the Discord. That's it. That's as easy as it is. So, very stoked that you guys are joining us on this episode. Let me tell you about our guest real quick. So I've been watching our guest compete in the jiu-jitsu scene, and he's been tearing it up. He's been doing excellent work. He has done excellent work at Who's Number One. He's done excellent work just on all of the competitive scenes possible out this way. And he decided to challenge himself and start getting into more MMA. And just recently at SparStar, he had a very, very dominant performance there. And that just prompted me to say, you know what? I think it's time for us to actually meet in person, to do this interview in person. So I'm very happy to actually bring on for the very first time, Thien Luu-Nguyen. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Let me say this. I'm going to fuck up your name, and I did, because I know it's Luu-Nguyen. But how do you say your first name?
Thien.
Thien.
Kind of like teenager.
Okay. So why is the H there? Because whenever I see it...
Vietnamese.
But bro, when it happens in my brain, I have Ron Burgundy disease. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, when I was in the car, I go, I have it. And then literally as I'm doing the intro, I go, I don't have it anymore. It's gone. In the time that I've been here, I literally forgot how to pronounce your name.
Visual, you know, you see the name spelled out and you're like, oh, the H is there. I got to pronounce it.
But like, isn't it such an actual like thing that people yell at you? Like, your name's hard. Okay, bro. So how many people have mispronounced your name over the time?
Too many. That's why I just go by Lou. You know, I'm like, just call me
So
Lou.
you go by Lou?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
But it's the middle name though, right? Or it's the middle part?
Well, my name is Thien Luu-Nguyen. Luu-Nguyen is my last name. So I decided to add on my mom's last name on top of it. Yeah.
Okay.
And because also to invite in the Vietnamese community. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, bro, I just want to make sure that
businessman.
When you do that, I like that you're just like, listen, I'm going to go by Lou. We're just going to make it easy. Because the problem with Lou in America is when we hear that, we go, oh, so Lou, like a plumber. like Captain Lou Albano. So when you think about that, I'm like, that's not your first name? This is very tricky. Is it backwards? Is it like us brown Mexicans where you're like, you get 15 names, bro?
Yeah.
It just has to all be in the accent. So my apologies on that. But I want to tell you this. I've been following your trajectory in jiu-jitsu, and it was very, very impressive to the point where I had friends who, I don't know if they ever competed against you, but you were always somebody who you could be somebody that they would compete against. And I was always like, damn, dude, he's going to be a problem. Like, I like the way he rolls. I know he works with Ramy, so that's a double problem. But I've had such respect for you. I guess the first question off the top of this whole thing is, why MMA? Because you're doing so well in the jiu-jitsu side. I just thought you had a good thing going. Why go to the other side?
Yeah, so I actually originally started jiu-jitsu. At first, it was kind of like, weight loss, whatever. Not really. But it was for MMA purposes. I had a friend that talked about it all the time and, all this. And we kind of just got to talking. I really enjoy watching it. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu. And then really it's actually, I was only doing it for MMA, but then jiu-jitsu took over to some degree. So to some degree, I did more jiu-jitsu than I needed, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of fell in love with jiu-jitsu. I liked the 80cc rule set. I started competing on that scene and so on and so forth. And I did find a lot of success. And the success reeled me into jiu-jitsu more so than actually doing jiu-jitsu and then converting over to some degree, if that makes sense.
It does. It was just from an outsider's perspective. I just saw you getting such momentum on the jiu-jitsu side. And it happens where sometimes you're like, hey, guys, little secret, I was always planning to go to MMA. And I'm just saying, as a selfish jiu-jitsu guy, I'm like, no, things were going to go so well, and I want you to do so much more. And I get it. You can always do both. You can always do that. But I was such a fan of your work and what you were doing.
Thank you, man.
And what I saw that you were doing, and you were kind of alluding to this when we were just kind of setting up and we had a few moments to chat, was you were kind of alluding to the fact that you're this showman. So you really like playing it up because you're like, I have no problem being the heel. And I was like, I'm aware. I've seen you do some things that have garnered some attention. First and foremost, in this fight, you were crawling toward the camera like a stripper who didn't know where her dollars were.
Why a stripper? It could be anything.
What you tell me what it was supposed to look like, because when you did it, you had these eyes that I go, this is a stripper that's on some sort of drug, some sort of volume. And then all of a sudden you gave it this great performance and I was like, well, I can't really talk too much shit. Yeah. But it definitely to me was like, all right, he likes to do that. When I've seen you at major events, you're not playing the heel, but you're definitely riling up the crowd. You're getting them more involved. So where does that come from? Because in my eyes, when I see you out there, I think that's good business for jiu-jitsu. So where does that come from your perspective?
It's probably just who I am, man. I to some degree I'm like this cocky, arrogant guy. It's something I enjoy doing, and that's not to say the people around me I don't care for them or anything like that. It's just at the end of the day for me it's a show. It's fun. When you're a fighter, I've talked about this before, is when you're a fighter, you are an entertainer. Whether you're doing jiu-jitsu or MMA or boxing, it doesn't matter. You're an entertainer at the end of the day, right? You get paid to entertain, not to fight, right? It's really for entertainment. So I enjoy that. I like the showboating. I like every aspect of it. I used to wrestle in high school, and that was also the thing for me. I like to go off, make it fun, make it, fun for the people to watch, man, and if you guys wrestled, you guys all know, wrestling, there's not a lot of people that watch wrestling unless you're, in a big wrestling school. Most people watch football and things like that. So for me, it was the people that show up, I want to make it fun for them. They got to enjoy this, So one of my favorite moves is actually the Twister, Eddie Bravo. So one of my
he's not watching this. You're good.
Okay. Well, for anyone who's 10 planets. So one of my favorite moves in wrestling was what they call a guillotine, right? Surprisingly, I haven't really used it, so we'll see what's up. But that was one of my favorite moves, just because it was the goon move and it was fun, But I'm on a different path now where I very much enjoy more of the how can I make things just fun, but also get me to success.
I want to point this out to you because, again, from the outside perspective, when I see you, I know the guys who are actually trying too hard, yours is in the realm of fun to me. So it never got into the realm of like, oh, this dude's a douchebag. It was just like, oh, I think he's just trying to get us more excited about this.
Yeah.
And to me, those are the reasons why I would say, like, I want to interview you. If I thought it was an actual douchebaggery kind of thing, I'd be like, I'm not that interested.
No, because I enjoy and I appreciate people. You know, like that's deep down who I am, right? Like if the people around me, the people that help me train, the people that coach me, everybody, right? My sponsors, all that, they all help me to some degree. For me to not appreciate them would be, I think, stupid. So, yeah, sure, does it come off sometimes if you look at it on some spectrum? Yeah, you look bad or whatever. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, like, it's about the audience. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about that guy. It's about the audience, right? So as long as like you enjoy it, thank you.
Absolutely,
you know?
man. And again,
that's what I'm trying to do.
I'm a huge pro wrestling fan, so I have a high marker for people doing it. So when I see it done at a level that I don't think is good, maybe I have more like, hey, bud, we're not that funny. Because by and large, the best person at it in our sport is Gordon, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at Gordon, right, and he's doing these trolls, that wouldn't even fly on national television for a major audience. It works for us because we're a niche audience.
Yes.
But whenever I look at it, I go, dude, this is so lame. But he's speaking facts, or at least a majority of facts that are interpreted in his I'm great.
Yeah.
But when he's talking about it that way, I'm like, it's just not funny. And that's why when you see somebody like Craig Jones respond to him, Craig doesn't have to do any work. He just goes, hey, look at this guy. And you go, ah, shit. Man, what a great efficiency. So our sport is just learning how to do it. I just always have appreciation for those guys who are doing it because they're hyped, they're in the moment, and they're having fun. So
that's a key point that I like that you point out there. It's like, you know, a lot of people aren't in the moment. So one of my coaches, Coach Ben, he talks to me about this a lot when it comes to competing and all that. And I think that part is very, very crucial. You have to be in the moment. You have to enjoy every little aspect of it, right? Whether it's, you know, getting your hand taped, whether it's, I'm referring to MMA, obviously, the walkouts, right? Whether it's maybe shaking your opponent's hand or not, or whatever. You have to kind of enjoy every little aspect of it. And for me, I love it all, you know. And I'll say this. I always thought I wanted to fight MMA and all that. When I walked into the cage and I looked at the lights and I just hear the crowd, the people, and, you know, being in that cage and dark and, you know, all that. Oh my God. Never felt like I've been like home until that. I was like, this is where I belong. There was nervousness. There was, you know, I'm a little, you know, this new thing, whatever, I can get hurt. But man, that feeling, I can't even explain it, you know?
I get it. People don't always know this, but it's a drug. It's an adrenaline, and it's hard to replicate. Like, even on your hardest days at your home gym, it will never feel like that because you can't replicate that feel, the lights, the pressure, and the ability, the anxiety to perform. Not the nervousness like, oh, I'm going to suck. It's like, no, I want to perform. Let me go. And you're waiting and waiting, and then you were unleashed, and you get this moment, and you have a great fight like you did. And we'll talk about that. But I just want to point out that from, again, the outside perspective, you didn't look out of place. So whatever was happening internally, to me, it looked like you competing at Jiu-Jitsu. It looked like you competing on a big stage in Jiu-Jitsu. So you looked very normal to me in that sense. What I would like to know is, when you were in that fight, it went all over the place. But you started at the very beginning, and you said that you let the crowd get to you in a different interview. And I wanted to explore that because I still thought you had a good round. Maybe in your perspective, it was closer than you wanted it to be. But from my perspective, it was like, I think you won it, and that your striking, your high kicks looked awesome. And I didn't expect that from you. But I was very pleased with how you integrated it because you found very, very good angles when you were doing it.
Yeah. I guess to answer that, the crowd aspect of it, I just wasn't used to it yet. I loved it, but I just wasn't used to it. And it was just for me, like, because I've done a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments and, you know, whether it's Fight to Win, WNO, Subversive, all these great tournaments, right? They do have a stage, they do have all that, but it's not the same. There's another level to it. And once I felt that, I was like, oh, like, I'm kind of getting affected by it. But I guess the main thing is I recognized it and I changed it. Because I was like, okay, I am a little bit, you know, not in my element when I was striking. Because I rewatch it, I'm like, oh, it's terrible. I can strike way better than this. I know I can strike way better than this. So when I rewatch it, I'm like, ugh, I'm cringing. So I know there's another level, and I was glad at least in that moment I knew, oh, I'm not striking as I should be. So the next round I have to change it up.
Yeah.
Right. Well, also I've mentioned before, like, you know, I saw my coach, made eye contact, and I knew, okay, we got to change the game. We can't be striking no more, you know, like I can't, I gotta keep this face pretty, you know, I gotta show up to teach kids and classes. And
I hate to break it to you, you don't have to look pretty to teach jiu-jitsu. I don't know if you've seen the amount of people and the people who are instructing it, but that is not a prerequisite.
That is true. That is true.
You want to stay pretty for you, and I get
That
it.
is true.
But when you are striking, we're all critical of ourselves. Here's what amateur analysis. I think you had to start that way. And here's why.
Okay.
I think when you are primarily known for your jiu-jitsu, but you have a background in multiple areas, you have to get some respect on the feet. Because so many times they look at people who are jiu-jitsu people and they go, that's all they do. Right? So you got some respect. You were able to connect. And then I saw, like, what was great about it is you got a little sampler plate of all of your stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, I never thought you had high kicks.
Yeah.
I saw that there. And then round 2, you said, all right, we're going back to bread and butter. Wrestling, you found your angles without even an issue. Like, you found your connection, you found your ability to take him down to the point where when we got to that 3rd round, you looked at that and that back mount was great. At the end of the 2nd, I think we were talking about this today, we got to roll and I got to experience how you were attacking that arm because I saw the transition. It was very similar. And that dude was saved by the end of that round. Like, you were close on it. And it's not to say you would have gotten it for sure, but your technique looked real tight.
Yeah.
So when we were rolling today, I was like, oh, I want to pay extra special attention to this because it felt exactly like where you're supposed to be. So even though it felt like maybe it's not coach's game plan where you wanted to be, maybe you know that you can do a better job, it got all of that out of your system. Like, now you don't have to worry about getting respect on the feet.
Yeah, I mean, this next fight, November 25th, you're gonna see, like I said, we've been with jiu-jitsu, man. Every time I'm on the stage, it's another person, right? And because my striking is so new, it's gonna be drastic. It's the same way of, like, you know, if I pull up a tape of me when I first started jiu-jitsu, and then like 2 weeks after, and I competed, like, oh, that's not the same guy, right? And then 2 weeks after that, it's not the same guy. And then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's always developing new games constantly. I don't, you know, playing the same thing is cool, but that bores me a little bit, you know? So I like the ability to, I like the process of skill acquisition. So I'm just always looking to do new stuff, whether everywhere, you know? And the high kick, I stretch a lot, man. So I'm flexible. I can definitely learn that.
Yes, 100%. I see your flexibility. And when we were rolling, I was kind of like, oh, he doesn't care where he's getting altered to. Like, your arms over this way. At one point, I was trying something and I was just like, most people would tap here. And this is a very nice and friendly roll. I don't feel the need to do anything here.
He has some... Guys, he has some tricky stuff. All right, when you roll, I was like,
no.
I will say he was great with me. Like, he was letting me work, but I was like, man, this is some weird stuff. I gotta explore this. I literally was thinking, damn, if this is an MMA fight, I can get my face punched in. This is great. I might take this.
I'm gonna be real with you because the way you were rolling, I thought about trying to punch you a couple times. I was like, yo, I don't want this dude to be a problem anymore. And I legitimately, like, because I would do this look to you that was like, hi, don't make me do this. Don't. And you were just like, nah, man, let's just keep going from here. And I go, this is a really bad position. But again, forthcoming. A lot of my stuff, when you're rolling with somebody who's good and you're kind of going back and forth and there's a good ebb and flow, is I go, all right, well, you're going to make me resort to all the pro wrestling nonsense. And that shit hurts.
They're
but
great,
like,
yeah.
But I mean, I was trying to tell you this. I'm like, my rule with pro wrestling stuff, if I use the move, so I hit people with Boston crabs all the time. I hit all of these dumb moves. Nobody's afraid of getting armbarred with me. Everybody's afraid of like, yo, I'm going to end up in a sharpshooter. Like, this dude's going to catch me with this stuff. So as a result of that, I always say, I don't do it to people I've never rolled with, and I don't do it to civilians. Meaning, if you're not a pro wrestling fan, I'm probably not going to hit you with a pro wrestling move.
Yeah.
But if we're running out of tricks and we're about 40 minutes into it, I'm just like, well, I've shown him my transition into deep half 4 times. Okay, I guess we're going Rings of Saturn is the move by Perry Saturn, which is not fun and compresses the neck. And you were just handling it like a boss. And I go, you good, buddy? And you're like, yeah. And I go, this dude is masochist.
You know, a lot of people that I train with, they know how I train. Like I like to take it to that edge.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess a little background story of how I got into leg locks to some degree, right? Every guy, I guess, or every person gets into it because of John. And I to some degree did.
Sure.
But one of the main things though for me was the shootout, right? This moment, and I can just remember the first time I feel it is this moment, whether you're in 50-50, whatever, and anyone could catch anyone at any time. Like that scary feeling, you know? And that is the drug for me too. It's like, whoa, like I can get broken, but I can also break him. So talking about it just get my
but as a result of that, is that why you are the gunslinger? Because to me, when I heard that nickname, I thought, all right, this Asian cat over here is talking about being a gunslinger. And I don't know if you've seen many Western movies, but very few Asians in those movies.
It's all good.
It's all good. I mean, listen, you what is it? Lou Diamond Phillips was kind of Asian-ish. He was in Young Guns, so he was around. But I guess the reason why I point this out is I didn't know why you got the nickname. So where does the gunslinger come from? Is it because of that, or is there some weird reason that you got it?
Actually, it's like multiple things. Part of it, yes, you know, it's like the shootout, right? Part of it is like I remember I had my first big stage performance was at a Fight to Win in San Jose. It was against Tyson Griffin, the UFC fighter. And after the match, I won, and then I just in that moment I was like, I'm gonna shoot the guns, and so I went, boom, boom, ooh, solid performance, you know, and even better after performance, whatever shootout. So that was great. I love that, and then it kind of just became a thing, and I just started liking it, you know. So after every match, I would like find the camera, I would do like different shootout stuff. And that kind of just built on that, you know, and then it was like, you know, the gunslinger is the way to go, you know. I still got some more stuff I want to put out soon, so, you know, it'll keep coming, guys. I'll keep thinking of something to do with guns. And also, I like guns, man. That's another thing.
Understood. So when you say that, I take a minute and I think about it. And it wasn't until you prompted it that I go, oh my God, I do remember one of those. I don't know if it was that one. But I remember one where you were doing this, and this is how much it doesn't faze me. I go, okay, what's this kid doing? And then I just, you know, when I hear you're called the gunslinger, I go, well, I got to ask him about this. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, we got Shooter McGavin over here, who's now about to terrorize Happy Gilmore and his friends. So when you explain it, I go, I'm not far off. So there is that. I will 100% concede this though. So I can't figure out if it's more you or more Raimi. That I was like, there were a couple moments where I had leg attacks and I was like, I just don't even want to do it. Like, this dude could not walk and be fine. I'm a grown adult. If I don't walk somewhere, people are going to be like, what happened? I'm like, well, a new friend hurt me.
No, I take care of everyone.
I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly the lull of confidence because there were a few times when I got to X-Guard and I was like, this seemed a little too easy here. And you started grabbing underneath. And there were at least 3 times that you switched and like rolled underneath with a grab on my leg. And I go, I don't like you, sir, doing this. I think that is a setup. I see right through this. But I legit, with other people, I probably would have taken it, gone for a reap, and done other stuff. So it definitely made me have to be a little bit more like, I guess we're sweeping him. Is that what we're doing now? So I had to rethink some of the strategies as I was going along.
Yeah. I was trying to bait you in, man. You caught on. I was like, you know what? Let's let him reap me. Let's let him.
100% knew the reap was
it was just exchange going.
And the best part was, and you forgot this, you had told me, you're like, I'm so much more than my leg attacks. And I was like, okay. And I thought,
sounds like something I might say, yeah.
Yeah, listen, I will pull up the receipts here, sir. I have a very good memory. You know what the worst part is like the fact that it would bounce with the covering and you just hear on these very nice springboard mats, doop, doop, doop. It wouldn't even hurt.
Still wouldn't shatter.
Wouldn't even shatter.
Yeah.
But I just knew, I was like, well, I want to see the rest of your stuff. And I knew the first minute that you were going for my legs, I was like, I thought so. Look at this kid. Setting up a beautiful heel hook here, like the trash he said he wasn't. So anyway.
I was trying to show off some new stuff. All right, he didn't want to enter, guys. So the fact that you guys didn't get to see some cool inversions, some great entries, it's this man's fault.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. It's my fault.
He has the tape, and you're gonna see it. I'm trying. I want to show you. I want to show off. I want to show you guys some stuff, but he would not let me. That's all I'm saying.
You know, I regret one thing.
What's up?
Is that if things were different and I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I do a game with guests, and the game is this: we give them a submission card, and they have to get that submission on me. They have 2 minutes to get that on me.
Okay.
If they're a black belt, I think it's 1 minute or something like that.
Okay.
And I was like, I wonder if I should play the
1 minute challenge.
Yeah, but I was like, I wonder if I should play this game with him.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a lot of fun. And then I realized, I was like, I don't know I don't have a second shooter. So it would just be a stagnant shot. Yeah. On that one, the trick is I'm just doing mostly defense, but we have me roasting you the whole time while you're trying to do it. So some people are successful and some people are not. And I thought about it. I was like, it has to always happen before I've ever rolled with them, I think. Yeah. Because if you know this and you saw that it was a move that you're like, shit, I can't get this one on Raph. It takes away from the fun after you kind of know my game.
Of course.
But I thought, I was like, oh, maybe I should do this with him. I regret not doing it. We should 100% done that game today because I feel like that would have been a crash course into these moves are good for me. These moves are very bad for me. So here you go. Yeah. But perhaps in the future we'll play it. It's just now you're a little bit more aware of my nonsense.
Okay.
So
no, that sounds like a fun game. I will say though, I love it when the crowd's against me. I love it when people are talking shit. So that might just turn me on another level. I actually, this Tyson Griffin match.
Yeah,
that's his name, right?
Yeah.
I came out like, oh, you know what? I respect this guy. And his crowd started booing me. And if you watch that tape, you see me smile, and that's the reason. They were just booing me. They're like, boo, all this stuff. And you just see me go, and I'm smiling. Oh my God, I can still remember it. And I look across, Tyson's trying to be nice. He's clapping. And I was like, okay, you guys boo me? Watch this.
Wow.
And so I started out, one of my buddy that was there, he was like, dude, I heard the crowd boo. And then as soon as the match started, I see you blast double him. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's on. Because usually that's not, if you watch most of my tape, I'm like, I'm pulling guard, I'm like being nice and stuff. But right off the bat, blast double. And it's just like, he was like, what the heck is going on?
You're like a reverse Tinkerbell, essentially. You're just like, booze? Oh, you're just powering me. Oh, yes. Oh, God, I didn't even have all these steroids before, but now my body's infused like it was.
Acai. I mean, what?
So when I do see you like that, though, I think I'll give you some lines. Maybe I'll write down some good heel work for you. Yeah, and I'll just feed them to you so that way you have them. Because I feel like a good heel, again, pro wrestler, aficionado, they have to have some good slams in the can because you never know how the audience is going to go. Yeah. So as somebody who's done stand-up comedy, There are some times where you see the audience, they start getting a little rowdy.
Yeah.
So you have these people who would like be doing jokes or whatever at your expense or whatever, and you just look at them and you're like, hey, what's up? And there's things that you do as a performer where you go, first thing you should ever do if somebody heckles you, repeat the joke, because the audience didn't hear it all. So you give the audience a chance. And my favorite thing was always like, you're trying to insult me. People paid to come see me. Nobody paid to come see you. And then people are always like, yeah, what? I'm like, okay, cool. Now you're drunk. Now I know you're drunk. So now it's just a matter of picking out all those things. So you have to have a couple stock things that you can go to. So that way, if like you go over, because I feel like the next step is you going to somebody in the crowd and be like, to like these kids and be like, yeah, what's this? Oh, you got a hat on? You knock the hat off. You're like, whatever. What is this, water? Pour it out. Boom. Bet that was $6, kid. So I'm gonna really finesse you as being the heel. Raimi can teach you all the technique, but he can't teach you how to be a good heel. I feel like that's where I'll come in handy.
I'll take it to a certain point. You know, I might not knock the hat off of a kid, but you know,
dude, you gotta commit, bro. You gotta commit
all the way.
Yeah, nobody likes a pretend heel. They're like, he's only a heel within reason. Boring, boo. Give me the heel that gets in the kid's face and like totally tells them that he's a loser and that he needs to go back to kindergarten, like whatever dumb things you've got. So, what did you enjoy the most about this first experience at Sparstar? Because for you now, you mentioned the adrenaline rush that you get with this crowd. When it's all said and done, you might have been mad about your first round, but the rest of the performance, I think you should be pleased with. So even if you don't get a finish per se, I thought that fight could have been stopped.
Yeah.
So somewhere in your head, you have to have some feelings about your performance as a whole and the experience as a whole. What were they?
I'm never really happy with my performances, I'll be honest with you. Like a lot of, you know, even like so Raimi was talking to me after we did the Subversive in San Diego, and he was like, dude, like you did great. I'm like, I'm like, I just feel I can do better. Even like now you're mentioning me the second and the third round. I could have done more. I think there's a lot.
You had back mount and we're punching this dude that couldn't get you again. When you got back mount on me, you apologized. You're like, it's about to get bad. And I said, I know, I've seen your tape. I know what happens here. I'm not imagining you're not going to put pressure on it. But I love the fact that you're like, Raph, this part hurts. I'm like, it all hurts, kid. Jiu-Jitsu's not supposed to be fun. Like, it's supposed to be terrible. As a result of that, though, yes, you could be self-critical.
Yeah.
But there's a part of your brain that has to acknowledge that it was good.
Of course. No, for sure. I think the parts that acknowledge that are good are my ability to like change up the game when I need to. Right. Those part. And then it's just for me, it's very objective. It's just, okay, did I do what I needed to do in the sense, what are the things I did right? So some of the things I did right is the second round transition, right? We went from striking to totally grappling, right? My coaches letting me know that, and we changed it up right away, okay? I think the third round, I made an adjustment in the mount. So I was too mount heavy and just didn't really have fun there. And so he was able to slip out and stuff like that. So that was another adjustment I made in the third round, right? Little things here and there that, sure, I don't want to like be happy. It's more like, okay, I did that good. Cool. Next fight, I'll keep that. And then what didn't I do right? Right? Like maybe I was kind of like protecting my hand because I'm like, I got to fight again. So I don't want to punch him and break my knuckle or something. So I was just hammer fisting the whole time. So if I had changed, 3 or 4 of those shots and I actually hit him, I think I would have just knocked him out or something, right?
Yeah.
So little things like that maybe I shouldn't have been as reserved. These next couple fights, just because, the year is about to end, maybe I'll go out with a bang and just go all out. So little things like that. I'm just looking at more on the objective side as much as I can. That's it.
Okay.
For me, the enjoyment is like seeing my growth. That's the real enjoyment for me is, this first fight, I had all, this amount of jitters or whatever. I didn't perform to this level. Okay. I want myself to be here, but I was performing here. What was the reason? Okay. Next fight, I'm here. I know I can get here. So every fight is just about reaching that. And when I get there, then it's about that next one. That's my high.
Okay.
So that's really it. It's just chasing that high, and I don't mean high in the sense of like the feeling. It's just like my art, my craft, right? Even maybe after the fight, the post interview, maybe the things I say could be better. Maybe I should be more.
I can help you with that. That part I've got.
Yeah,
I'll
he's
definitely.
got me.
I'm gonna write it out for you,
Okay.
and I don't need it to be word for word perfect,
Right.
but I'm gonna make sure that at least there. Because what is this? You yelled out, "Where are these Latinas and white women at?"
All right, no. All right, people got it wrong. Okay, so I saw Ric Flair. I think like a week before. Ric Flair was like,
God.
it was a great line. It was a great line, guys. Ric Flair said, somewhere along the line of this, I might butcher it. I'm sorry. He said, ladies, you can't be first, but all of you can be next. And I said somewhere along that line. It was a great line,
So you literally just tried to repurpose a Ric Flair line, and you're like, and it was great.
You gotta hone in though.
Okay.
You can't be too broad. You can't be like everyone, right? So you take just two ethnicity first.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then slowly you can integrate them.
Oh boy. Okay. You just literally were like,
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
No.
I'm wrong. Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Ric Flair is one of the top tier people to try and emulate if you are going to pull that in.
Yeah.
I just saw
great.
these guys. Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
Goat of promos. He definitely paved the way, and so influential that Connor and everybody after him is a derivative of that.
Yeah, Ric
So-
Flair, Muhammad Ali's another one.
Exactly.
I mean, he's that's another guy that I watch. I'm like, wow, like that's the guy you got to watch. That's the guy you got to understand. That's the guy that understands the whole game,
Yeah.
not just boxing, not just talking. He knows it all.
Yeah.
So that's those guys is great.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
that. I like that.
So the reason why I bring this up is because for years, and this is only personal to me, I don't know if it relates to you,
Mhm.
but I found that my best success happened as a person who is a perfectionist when I learned how to balance an actual constructive criticism that propelled me faster. When I understood how to take that like perfectionist angle of like, no, I want to be better. Here, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to be like this. It was once I was able to hone in and be like, I'm going to accept what it is, and then also acknowledge what went well in a way that's realistic. Because I feel like if you're too hard on yourself, it only furthers how much you could excel if you can bottle it up in the right way. So that's kind of why I'm very particular with athletes when I go, you got to tell me this and you got to tell me this about what's good. Because then I promise you the journey to the next part of being better happens faster if you can articulate.
No, I just don't express the good part because I know deep down, like I know, what I mean? Like I've already accepted that. And I don't want to be like just only promoting that other good part because I feel like where you hang your hat is where you're going to end, right? So if I hang my hat on the fact that I got a dominant win and, I dominated him really all 3 rounds. I didn't lose a round. All that, if I hang my hat there, how much more can I really go, right? So for me, if I talk about it, on podcasts, whatever, it's just more like, I am self-critical and that's who I truly am. I also, sure, I do enjoy the wins and stuff, but that's just for me.
Yeah.
That's for me to take in. That's for me to like, maybe I'm like driving alone and I'll appreciate those moments, right? So I do recognize the good, right? And it's enough that I'm like, okay, I've enjoyed it. Let's move on, right? I don't want to dwell on it though.
Yeah,
That's the problem I see with a lot of people is they dwell on success too much. And that's a problem too, but you're right. What you're saying makes sense.
I have this interpretation of like win or lose, usually by Monday, I'm back to normal. Like, it's like, I can't live in the past on that success because I'm looking at the next thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of our guys, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what happens. They win, they lose. I go, you get a 1-day pity party or a 1-day celebration. And then Monday it's done.
For me, it's really like just that day. So like I'll if I'm like competing wherever in San Diego, I might be winning whatever tournament. Then I go out, have fun, chat some people up, you know what I'm talking about. and I'll let that roll, right? Like the wind, I'll let the adrenaline, all that roll in. But then once it's done, the next day we're back to training, you know? So even after that fight, the next day I'm back to training.
Yep.
I don't care. You know, I'm like adjusting right away. Okay, what did I do wrong? Oh, I didn't do the cage. Okay, so today we're working on cage work.
Yep.
Right. Or whatever. So that's really it.
Well, the reason why I say one day is because we have a lot of our guys who will hit me up and they're like, hey, can I see my footage? No. They'll be like, why? And I go, what are you going to do? You can't fix it today.
Yeah.
You can maybe go tomorrow. You're not going to go tomorrow. Take a day. Live in what you're at. Because if you live in that bad moment, if you've lost, that's what makes you work harder. You have to like learn to absorb that loss and like let it not control you, but make you so frustrated that you're like, it's not going to happen again. Because if you do it that next day, you have a good chance of fixing stuff because it's still fresh in your head, but you don't have the obsession, the compulsion to get that habit out of you. What happens is you take that day break, you go away, and then all of a sudden you're just like, fuck, I want to go work on it now. And then what happens is Monday morning, 9 a.m., I send them the footage. And I have to tell you, it's only recently that I started competing. And when I was doing it, I was like, I have to follow my own rule because I'm such a tape study guy. And I was so compelled to like hit up the guy and be like, yo, you get that footage, man? And instead I was just like, fuck, dude. So I felt like I was in the middle of like, you know, when people get off a drug, they have to do like, they're like, chain me in the room. I'm not doing anything. I was like, yeah, you're essentially like getting the drug out of you. So I had to tell people, I was like, just don't answer any of my texts about the footage. And then what ended up happening is they give me the footage. And on Monday, that was the lesson. I was like, hey, all of you guys are going to put me in this position here. And they're like, oh, and I was like, yep, that's what we're doing. That's it. And I go, and I'm going to tell you how I fucked it up. And I'm going to tell you guys how I think we can fix it. And here's what we go. So that way you don't have the same problem I did. And that one day for me that I had advised to so many other people for years paid off in dividends because when I saw my whole class fixing what I did and not fucking up like I did, I was like, then good. Great. I don't know that I would be like that if I was doing it that Sunday, but everybody's different. I just try to tell you.
I already dwell on it that day of, you know? I like soak in on that already. Dude, I could be like.
But you also compete a lot.
So I do compete a lot. So that allows me to just have already a rhythm. Right. So as soon as the emotional aspect, right, where there's winning, losing, the feeling, that's all cool and all, but it's for me, it's just objective. So I dwell on it for a little bit because, you know, I'm a human, not a robot. So I do kind of let that sink in, and then now it's the next day. It's a new day. It's a fresh day. Now it's time to just problem solve. So for me, I guess for some people it's that day. For me, it's like that whatever hours until the next day. Because I've had situations where like, you know, like I think my first week of jiu-jitsu, like in Nogi, I got caught, or it was like my first day or whatever. I got caught in like, I think it was, Rimiashi, they reaped in, caught my heel. The guy was being nice, didn't break my leg. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't sleep that night until like 4 a.m. And so that's me dwelling. It's like, okay, how do I solve it? Okay, I solved it. Got done. You know? So for me, the dwelling aspect doesn't last that long just because if I take any longer, then I just like don't do anything. I just kind of like, oh, like, okay, now I'm just sitting here and maybe I feel it, maybe I don't, you know? So, for me, the next day is typically like a good day. Now, I go based on feel though. So sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna chill out this Sunday. Whether it's a win or loss, maybe I feel like, oh, it's too much. All right, let's cool it. Hey, you know what? Can't train today, guys. I need to just sit out, right? I might come in just to like watch or like give pointers to them, but I don't do anything for myself. So it is a feel for me. That's not to say, you know, it's like always the next day or whatever, right? It's just a feel thing. Yeah.
I understand that. Okay. So you talked about the first week of doing Nogi. I'd like to go back to origin story. Let's talk about your very first class. What do you remember about your very first class of jiu-jitsu? Talk to me about your very first jiu-jitsu class.
Okay. My very first jiu-jitsu class showed up it was at my college. They did jiu-jitsu for self-defense. I didn't have the gi at the time. Yeah, I didn't have a gi yet. I thought jiu-jitsu was just always no gi. I honestly I have no clue what really jiu-jitsu is. I kind of like heard it through the grapevines because of wrestling. And I just showed up, and then we're just doing like just some basic movements. And I'm like, oh man, dude, the worst part is the mats they had were gymnastic mats, and I had burns all over. And I was like, oh, this is why you need to be. And so that was like kind of my first experience into like actually like jujitsu. Otherwise, it was like we wrestled, and then like my friend's like, oh, I know jujitsu, or I do jujitsu, and I was like, okay, well, what do you do? He's like, oh, you just try to hurt each other, and then we would wrestle, and then I just like grab something and just like pull on it or something like that, and I'm like, oh, it works, or oh, nothing happened. That was that's really it. But that was my first day of jiu-jitsu. It was just like this self-defense class for like months. We were doing like once a week and just learning how to like, oh, if someone rape choke you, what do you do? Oh, stuff like that. That's really it.
With that in mind, you were doing wrestling first. So when did you first start wrestling?
I started wrestling in high school. In high school, I did like 3 sports. I did wrestling. I did football, wrestling, and track. So I was like three sport athlete. I was doing sports year round. Yeah, and so I got maybe like 3-ish months of wrestling in every year, and that was fun. That was great. I was too short for basketball, guys. So gotta know where you play.
What about wrestling spoke to you initially? Because if you have all 3 sports, you have the ability to go through any one of those, and you probably could be pretty good. Like you have a good athlete's competition mindset. But what about wrestling spoke to you?
Oof. Believe it or not, I didn't really enjoy wrestling. I didn't. There's this thing at our school. They call like Golden Night. So if you're in varsity for at least 2 years, I think it was for 4 years, or at least 2 years within your tenure there at the school, then you get this thing called Golden Night, and you have to be a 3-sport athlete. And that was the thing I came in wanting, right? So, and then I fell in love with actually, I really enjoy football. That was the only thing I actually really enjoy. Like, I probably invest 6 months out of the year in football, and then the other 3 in wrestling, and then track. So for me, football was the thing.
What'd you play in football?
I played running back and like safety / corner. If I was taller, guys, you guys wouldn't see me here. I'd be playing somewhere else, another sport. You know what I mean? So
calm down. We know how tall you are. It's fine. It worked out a certain way. You're supposed to be doing jiu-jitsu and MMA. Yeah. I just like the fact that you're like, yo, if I had found a genie and asked for a few extra inches of height, I would not be here on this podcast. And it's like,
I'd be doing football.
Fam, we got
allegedly.
It.
We'll see.
I was like, yeah, try the statistics of getting into football as well.
Yeah, no, for real. There's so many like highly skilled athletes. I'm always joking, but I didn't really like wrestling, man. I just grit through it. I just just showed up. I was pretty good, never like great or anything. I had like a couple moves and that's it. One of them being the guillotine, and then that's really it.
Why did you stay in it then? Like
Golden Night.
So that's the only reason was to just do that?
Really. Wow. Yeah. And there was a point where it was like, I got my cousin into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, I have to do this because he does it and he enjoys it now. And then by my senior year, he wasn't there. So it was like just me alone. So I was like, I enjoy maybe the first month or so of it because it's like, oh, gritty, but after a while it gets boring, and I never improved. And it's not because of my coaches, to be fair. It was because of me. My approach to wrestling was just completely wrong. And I'm glad I had that experience though, because I learned from that. And now my approach is very different to training when it comes to, MMA and jiu-jitsu was. But yeah, I think the main reason I didn't enjoy it is because I never improved. And it was my own fault.
So. And that's so weird because I feel like one of the best things that we get from wrestlers, and I'm sure maybe you have this perspective now being an instructor and seeing a lot of people come and make the transition from wrestling into jiu-jitsu, is that I can tell them to go drill and they'll do it without any problems.
Yeah.
So when I say like, hey, I need you to do it like this, they're the people who go, okay. and they go off and they go do it because their brains are trained to drill it a certain way like that. So you had almost kind of an opposite thing, which was I was probably going too hard and doing
I was
too
going
much.
live all day.
Yeah.
I would literally go live like practice like 2 to 3 hours. I would go live from after the warm up to the practice ends. That's it. Literally just endless rounds, maybe like 2 water breaks. That's it. Just live. That's it. Never drilled, nothing.
So, how many injuries did you take as a result of that?
So many.
Okay.
Yeah, good amount.
Good amount. Okay.
Say. Yeah.
So let's say if it's a week, right? No injuries that week, like, or is it bi-weekly or monthly that you were getting
probably
a big injury?
Monthly. You know,
honestly, that's not that bad. That it could have been.
I was also young.
But what I'm saying is, given how you were training, it could have been worse.
Oh,
like the fact that you were training that hard and you weren't getting injured as opposed to like weekly or daily.
Yeah.
All things considered, it was going pretty well for you to keep up health wise.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
Just not preferred as the right way of going about it.
The amount of jiu-jitsu I've done now, it's probably like 2 folds or 3 folds of what I did in wrestling. And especially on mat time. But like, I haven't really got any injuries.
Really?
Yeah, like rarely. If anything, it was like because I remember there was one tournament I stubbed a toe by accident because I was walking. Like I was walking. So there was like literally a tape of me. I have this. I'm not joking, you guys. Okay, I slowed the tape down on it, and we can see it. We were wrestling, and then we were out of bounds or something. And as I'm walking in, my toe turned and it popped, and then I was like, okay, no more wrestling. I pull guard. I was like, all right, I got to pull guard now. But you literally see like me like limp a little bit, and then I just like pull guard. And I slow the tape down, and you see my toe like pointing one way. And I'm like, But and then I had like some other ones that was because like, someone was doing some illegal moves and, stuff like that. I've had like maybe a total of 3 injuries out of the 3 years I've been training.
Okay.
So 1 per year is not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Let's get into this though. So I always ask this. This is a formal question that we put in the show to everybody who comes on. When did you fall in love with jiu-jitsu? Because there's something that you have to love about this sport to do it as more than just a hobby. Yeah. So do you remember when that happened and why did it happen for you?
It grew over time. At first I just started because the nogi aspect was because I was just getting fat during COVID, man. I got too thick, So I was like, let me go do this thing so I can lose a little weight. Also, I remember like talking to my friends about doing MMA, and I enjoyed that, So let me check it out. So I started doing it, and I was like, oh, like I'm pretty good at it, but whatever. And then I started competing, and I remember like my first or second tournament, I remember like it just reignited this like feeling within me, like in the word of Mike Tyson is like the god of war awoken, and I felt that and I was like, oh, I need to compete. This is what I was missing these last couple of years when I didn't do anything, right? I was just really just lifting weights, and I was like, oh, I got to do this. And then over time, I trained for like 6 or maybe 7 or 8 months, and then I met Ramy. And then they were getting ready for like ADCC trials at the time. And then I got ready for it. I was like, oh, let me do this thing. And then I started getting down that path of ADCC, potentially trying to, win ADCC, winning trials and all these things. And that's when I kind of like, I think got off course of what I really wanted to do was MMA, So I kind of like got reeled in too much to some degree. But I really enjoyed it though. I love the aspect that I could just compete every weekend and, like that was fun, traveling, like, even though it sucks, sometimes, you don't have all the money in the world, right? So all of it was fun though. Every little aspect was fun for me.
Do you remember the first time you met Ramy?
Oh yeah. This is a story I always tell people. As I'm going to make fun of him here. He had a mask on. No, but So I've had some people, I heard through grapevines, it's Ramy. If you're in 10th Planet, you're going to know him. So people were telling me about him. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then I decided, what was it? No, I had a tournament with his students, and they were like, "Oh, you gotta see him. You gotta see him." I'm like, all right, I'll eventually go. And I think that week or the week after, I went to the class. He had his little mask on, whatever. And he was showing a ankle pick, right? He's showing this ankle pick, and he would explain it to me. And the amount of wrestling I did, I was like, I know what an ankle pick is. Come on, what can this guy really show me? Like cocky, arrogant. And he showed it, and I remember as soon as he was done showing the move, and he was like, "All right, guys, go!" Like clap. I was like, "Hey, I know nothing about wrestling." I legitimately thought that. And I was like, "This guy has no wrestling experience. He managed to show me wrestling, who's technically has more wrestling experience than he does." And I was like, "I have to train under this guy." And since then, and you can literally see, like, again, like the tape is where it shows everything. My progress before I met Remy versus my progress after was like, phew. That was the point I started going on, doing all these like qualifiers. That's when the ADCC stuff, fight to wins, and then WNO and like all that started reeling in within a year and a half. Versus me before, it was like doing nagas and like placing, right? I won like at like intermediate or whatever, but I never won like the expert or whatever. And then Remy, and then just phew, that's really it.
Why do you think you guys click so much? Because in my short time of seeing you guys together, anytime he's working with somebody, they have my attention. So it's always like, oh, okay, cool. Who's he working with now? And you kind of emerged from my perspective as a new protege or like a new somebody that he's been working with where I go, oh, well, this will be interesting. And then I saw the way you worked and I go, yeah, that checks out. That looks like some stuff that he would do. All right, that's cool. And it's my way of keeping up with people I don't always get to see. So if I don't see him regularly, it's cool to be like, oh, that's some shit they're working on. Yo, that looks really cool.
Yeah.
But even seeing you guys here, you guys are bickering, putting together shelf units for the gym. No, you're okay. It's okay. Yeah. But you're basically like a married couple yelling at each other to be like, I told you it doesn't work like that. I think it works like this.
Yeah.
And I'm just setting up stuff on the side. I'm like, I'm not going to get involved in any of this. These two.
You're telling me like you wanted to film that instead.
I 100%. I was like, I don't think I'm going to be funnier than this. I think they're funnier just like yelling at each other. And then like you got down to breaking down stereotypes as to why these things weren't working. And I just go, what's happening here? So I can understand there's a closeness just in the way you talk to each other, but I want to know why you think the two of you click and work so well.
I think it's the way we think, he's just, in his own way, he's very objective too. Our other Coach Ben, he's the same way, so a lot of, obviously through the times we trained together before, we spent so much time together, and also the relationship really is because I'm willing to learn and both of them are willing to give. And that's really what makes it work, right? So when I first met Ramy and Ben too, like at least this part's for Ramy, is when I first met him, who the fuck is this kid? Right? We can cuss, right?
Yeah.
Who is this kid, right? And why would you even invest time in this kid that you don't even know that does drop-ins? You know what I mean? Because I didn't train with him right away. I only did drop-ins. And this guy would spend, we're at the gym at like 12, 1, 2 a.m. Like, and he's like, no, right? Tell me stuff. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me show you the sequence. And we're like, dude, it's 2 a.m. I mean, obviously, I didn't think that way. I was just like, oh, great. Yeah. Let's learn some more shit, right? And that was the relationship we had. And he was just he was so giving that I was like, oh. I was almost like, oh, shit, like, am I taking too much? Like, I almost like was put off because I was like, oh, like, he's giving me a lot. He's just willing to give. And I think a person like him, I would assume, enjoys giving to someone who's willing to learn. And that's what makes him a great coach. And same thing with Ben. He talks a lot about with me with the mental stuff. And we do work some other stuff on the side, like cage wrestling and stuff now for MMA. But same thing, more willing to give, I'm not the smartest or the brightest guy, but so when I ask them questions, sometimes I'm asking like 3-4 times. I'm like, oh, I know you showed me this before. I know it's, we've gone over this a couple of times, but what was it again? So, and they're always happy to show. They're not like, I showed you last 5 times. Like, why can't you remember? They're just more than happy to show. And that, I think, it was God's will, I guess. It just so happens that I was willing to learn, they were willing to give, and it just matched, But the bickering, that's just us bullshitting, man.
I get it. And I like I said, a married couple. You guys, I just, at a certain point, I thought, am I interrupting something here? Is this a good day to do the show? Because I can always come back, I guess. But, it's, I think, not too different than most other people's very close proximity with their coaches or their mentor mentee kind of things, or sometimes people just become peers, and there's a lot of stuff that you guys have done to put into this very wonderful place. Hello, 10th Planet, Thousand Oaks, that I see the fruits of it manifesting, and I see that you guys have a great spot. Now, it doesn't mean that it just happened out of nowhere. It meant that you guys had to put in work to make a lot of this stuff work, and when that happens, it means that sometimes there's going to be a disagreement of like, that's not how a shelf gets built.
Yeah.
You bought the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And then there's this moment of you guys having a shorthand with each other that I go, yeah, they're tight. Okay, good to know. But it just confirms everything that we see from the outside perspective. Because again, I have seen you with him in your corner. I've seen you compete, and I've been like, oh, there's something to you that I think is really cool. And then you see you compete in MMA, and I go, well, if we got to lose you on the jiu-jitsu side, it looks like it's kind of worth it, because you really do look like you're having a blast in MMA from those experiences.
To be fair too, like the more I grow in MMA, the more jiu-jitsu will grow with it.
Nah, don't do that bullshit. Don't. No.
I still love jiu-jitsu.
No, I get it.
I love jiu-jitsu, but I have to go what's best.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I've done this with a lot of people. I cannot tell you the list of people that I've been like, cool, Adolfo, go. Cool, Rafael Lovato Jr., just leave us. Because you know what happens? I'm studying them. And when they go away, they're doing things that are interesting to me, but I'm not wrist riding somebody to punch them in the face. That's not stuff that I'm trying to do.
That's true.
What am I going to tell my students when I go back and be like, hey guys, this week, don't be a pussy. I'm going to punch you in the face, okay? So just first and foremost, if I punch you in the face, coach is doing it, and trust coach. Like, I might tell them like, hey, if you fight, this is kind of something I've seen Rafael Lovato Jr. do.
Yeah, of course.
That's cool. None of you guys fight. And if you do fight, you got a different coach for that. So all good. But I like to tell people whenever I coach on the side, if they fight MMA, I'm like, I will help you on the jiu-jitsu side and hand you back to your other coach.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I know what I'm good at. I know this helps you, et cetera, et cetera. So I just say that whenever somebody on the jiu-jitsu side goes to MMA and they do this whole like, no, it's good for the sport. See, it's all good, baby. It's cool. Everybody gonna be fine. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Come back here, win some other shit, and let me steal the shit that you're doing. I want to learn that stuff. So that's all.
I mean, if you look at it, if I can't perform at my best, knowing that, I could do something else even better.
Oh, God damn it. Yeah, I get it. I gave you the opportunity. I was like, you just go do something else. It's fine. And you literally were like, no. Let me tell you why it's good that I leave you. It's like,
look, baby, it's not you, it's me.
It's legitimately like a deadbeat dad that leaves and goes, hey, let me tell you why I got to go do this, okay? This is for dad, okay? But it's also good for you. It's going to teach you character.
I gotta go buy the milk.
Exactly.
I gotta go get the milk real quick.
These cigarettes aren't buying themselves. So when I hear people tell me that, I was like, you can do whatever you want. Just don't try and make me feel fucking better about this. Like we had some therapy breakthrough.
He's making me feel so bad.
I should. This is what I do. I tell people I would prefer you over on this side. And then I see your fight and I go, shit, he's pretty good. All right, fuck. Well, we're going to lose him for a bit.
Well, at least I'm pretty good. All right. At least it's not like I'm going to them getting my face.
Absolutely. I mean, if you got murked, this interview was not about to happen. So it's not like I'm coming here to interview people and be like, yo, you got the shit kicked out of you. Tell me about that. How does CTE feel? Like those interviews don't go well. And I do tell people, I'm like, you don't always have to win to be on the show, but it's a much better interview if we have something to celebrate.
Yes.
But I've also told athletes, I'm like, if I think you did such a good job that it's worth talking about, it's an epic fight. I don't care if you win or lose.
Yeah, of course.
It's cool. Come on, we'll talk about it. It's just the athletes aren't always up to the best mentality or enthusiasm about being like, cool, I lost that one. Let's spend 30 minutes on it.
Talking about it. Yeah.
Yep. Really want to relive that. So I just try to pick up things that I go, oh, this is a moment. And for you to have your debut at Star was a moment. Like fighting for them for the first time.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, this is a cool intersection of let's actually meet. Let's talk about what I've seen from the jiu-jitsu side, and let's kind of see where you're heading. So I guess the next question is, where do you see yourself heading in MMA? Like, what's coming up next for you? Because I know you have another fight already in line. Let's talk about that. But tell me where you see yourself in MMA in about a year or 2 years.
Yeah, I think I got maybe 4 or 5 fights in amateurs just because there's some things I need to fix. Once I fix those things, then it's pro. I see myself doing pro for maybe 1 or 2 years before the UFC. So there's some things, again, there's just some things I need to fix, and technically on the fighting end. And then I'm also using that experience to improve the talking aspect, right? Because that's what's going to get you to the UFC fast. So yeah, I think maybe in the next year, I'm probably going to go pro. And then right after that, then we're going, where we're doing everything possible. We're fighting everybody. Everybody can get these hands. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the pro journey soon. So be ready for that on the scene. All right. But this next fight, we got a guy, he's a grappler too. So that's going to be very interesting.
Nice.
So you guys will get to see me against another grappler in the MMA realm. You will see probably some striking too, because maybe that's where he believes my weakness is. So yeah, that's going to be a very interesting fight. So make sure you tune in November 25th. It's Bar Stars, Commerce Casino.
Look at that. Good job promoting your fight. Look at that. That's
practicing.
It's like a B-, so it's not bad.
Yeah, it can be better for sure.
You know what I mean? Like let's pepper it in. A little help here, okay? So look over this way. Okay. What are you guys doing November 25th? You're watching me fight. Why wouldn't you come to see me fight? All right, start with that. Second of all, make love to this camera, dude. Whenever you're talking to it. What is it? What is this laid back thing? What are you, the fucking bad kid in school? Just being like, nah, teach, I just chill like this. You're promoting your stuff. You got to get in their face. You got to look right at them. All right, so I'm going to do what you should be doing.
Okay. I'm observing. I'm
watch
learning.
this.
Yeah.
All right, what are you guys doing November 25th? You're watching me fight, right? You're going to show up to watch me fight. Actually, I need to say this as you now because I've said it twice as myself. I want to make sure we're very clear. If anybody's like, is Raph fighting? No.
No, I'm fighting. I should be doing him. Right?
So,
pretend I'm him.
So, November 25th, this young man is fighting. And you know what he does? Not only does he head kick, he's going to murk another grappler. Like he's waiting for the opportunity to show these hands right here. These hands. Actually, those hands. He's going to show those hands to somebody's face. And he's telling you, maybe he's not even going to fucking punch him. Maybe it's going to be a grappling against grappling match. You don't even know. You got to show up. You got to pay to play. And if you've seen the last work from this man, that mount that he had, terrible. And it means bad things. Can a grappler get out of that? I guess you got to pay to play. November 25th, you want to see this man get a knockout, be critical of himself, go party, still be thinking about that fight, even if he got the win and it was dominant. He might be like, man, I wish I could have finished that in 1 minute instead of 1 minute 30. That's the kind of person you want to go see. Like that's the shit that made the top tier athletes. So why have you not gone to that website right now and gotten a ticket for yourself, or come to see this man in person over here at 10th Planet Thousand Oaks, which opens November 4th. And if you're seeing this after November 4th, it means you haven't gone yet. What's wrong with you? November 4th, come check them out. And if you're seeing this after November 4th, come pay them a visit, take a private from this man, and go see him fight on November 25th. 2 easy dates to remember.
That's the best plug ever. how can I hire you?
Oh, you're gonna take privates from me, fam. That's what we're doing here. I'm just
That
letting you
was
know.
great. That was great. I'm like sitting back. I'm like, all right. I'm gonna step back. I have to sit back and watch now. Now I gotta really sit back.
It's, you know what it is? You literally are just promising them what you're already going to do. Don't overpromise anything. What you're basically telling them is, in the past, you've done this, but there's an uncertainty what happens on the 25th. So you play off that uncertainty and you say, why wouldn't you want to come see that? If it's grappler versus grappler, that's what we pay for. And it's not just with, oh, these jiu-jitsu rules. Oh, I can't use my hands. Oh, no, I can't slap this person into combat. No, this is straight out MMA. Come see this man fight.
Yeah.
Spar Star. Get it.
Yeah, you get to see these powerful hands just landing on someone's face constantly.
See, yeah, that's good. You know what your kind of MO is? You're a little bit more horror movie voice right now. You're like, yeah. So I'm like, yo, Jigsaw's here? Like, what's happening, fam?
Hey, I'm switching up all the time.
But
you know? This mind just goes, you know?
This mind
just goes. I might be seductive the next second.
No, I don't think you need to do that, dude. You've already been a stripper picking up some bad dollars before one of your fights.
That was not a stripper, okay? That was like what is it called? Like a scary movie, like Demon Walk.
No, I wanna, you know what?
Hey, if I'm a stripper, as long as I'm making money, bro. OnlyFans, subscribe.
Do you have an OnlyFans? I was like, no, everybody's getting one now. Did you see that Stipe Miocic?
Allegedly. Huh?
Did you see Stipe Miocic when they canceled his fight against John Jones?
Yeah.
First of all, he doesn't talk the best, but we love him.
Yeah,
one of the goats. Great
guy.
But when they announced his reaction to losing the fight with John Jones, he put up a statement that just goes, "See my OnlyFans to get my official reaction." I was like, dude, I'm not going to that. Can someone just do a recap of what this says here?
Yeah.
And I swear to God, I don't know if it's true. I didn't even look it up, but I swear to God, I saw somebody put up a post that said you could go, and he was one of those accounts that you could sign up for free to see. Like, you didn't even have to pay for it. And I was like, bro, what's the point of doing it OnlyFans? Like,
he's driving traffic then.
I'm sure he's driving traffic, but that's the only time I'm going to look up Stipe Miocic, period. So you at least should make your money while you're doing it. So what I'm going to do right now is
he's going to show the video.
I'm going to show it.
Being a scary movie.
It's not a scary movie. Look at this. I want you to look at it with me right now. You think it's a scary... Okay, look. Normal, smiley guy. Okay. Look at this dude. This nerd's about to fight. And then look, now you're looking at the camera, punching, and then look, there's an underhook right here. All right, jumping up and down. I'm hype with you. And then, why are we on the ground? What the fuck are you doing? What?
Watch the teeth come out. Look at that. That's a scary man look, bro.
It's not a scary, dude, listen, this is a dude who got hired for a bachelorette party and is literally coming over, and you're probably going to take $1 out of their bustier.
Any of you ladies out there that needs a stripper for your, bachelorette party in Thousand Oaks or anywhere, I'm here. I'm here for it.
This is not how I thought this interview would go. But I will say this.
Always be ready for the unpredictability.
Don't do that voice. That's not the good voice. That's not the one that sells.
You are not charmed?
No.
You're not charmed by that?
No. You know what it is? It's weird when you're also confused if it's charming. You're not charmed by that?
I'm practicing.
All right. So here's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to put a pin on the conversation right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you that camera right there. You're going to look at it. You're going to tell people, you're going to remind them about your fight, but now with your big kid voice, you're going to come out, give me a good promo on that. And then I want you to thank your sponsors and anybody who helped you get that win last time. So that over there, that's you. That's your camera. Going in 3, 2, 1. Camera's on you, kid.
All right, everybody. November 25th, Thien Luu, the Gunslinger Nguyen, is going to be on Spar Star in the cage, smacking up some faces, okay? And grappling, ground and pound, cage work, everything involved, all right? Now, I want you guys to show up, buy some tickets online or from me, wherever you want. Make sure you use promo code LUU, L-U-U, all right? Now, if you can't make it, you can always stream it online at Spar Star on their YouTube channel, okay?
Now, I want to thank out and shout out to some people. Infinite Movement, one of my best sponsors. They help me with all my gear, making sure that I get to show off these sexy legs for you guys. All right. So make sure you check them out, get some gear from them. Second, Foxhound Fuel has some of the best supplements for you. Okay. Whether it's pre workouts, hydration, or recovery, that's the way to go. He knows this. He's the guy, George, always helping out, hook him up. Great people. Okay. Third, I want to shout out to Matt Prints right here. They print all of our gear for Thousand Oaks. So, you guys be ready for that. Some of the most comfortable shirts ever. Okay, feel this. It's like cashmere.
Sure.
Soft.
Oh, that is soft.
Smooth.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's what I'm saying. So this is only things I wear. It's either Infinite Movement shorts or these shirts. That's it, man. Third, shout out to all my coaches, Coach Ben, Eric Ramey, Ian Harris, and of course, thanks to my gyms, that 10 Planet Thousand Oaks, School BJJ, and Fight Signs. Okay, you guys, all the training partners, you guys showing up to the fight. I really appreciate that. Love the energy. Love everything from you guys, man. You guys are the best. Last thing I want to say though, I want to make sure that I do work with a pro Second Amendment company. So I'm definitely looking for some sponsors that are pro-gun. So if you guys got something in there for me, please hit me up. I'm here for it.
His name's literally the Gunslinger. Like, how would you not get a sponsorship from a gun company?
That's what I'm saying.
And don't they have money? I've seen gun sales go up. So they got money, dude.
Exactly. So I'm the guy. I'm the guy to promote. So you guys hit me up. We set something up. All right. I'm going to talk my ass off for all of you guys. So please join into the movement, Lou University, as they call it. All right. Be ready for it.
Who's calling it Lou University?
Actually, one of my students came up with this, so I took it from him. We might have to come out with a new name, but for now, it's Lou University. All right.
Wow. Okay. Still at about a B-, but we're getting there. You know what?
Getting there. I'm practicing.
You know what? I'm gonna give you some tips off the air.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you how to bring it home. But I feel like what is happening now is I could see the thought process. So the outline was much better this time. We're gonna rein it in.
Okay.
Still a little weird.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like throwing it in there and being like, look at these sexy legs. Like, fam, come on, dude. You don't need to be saying that. If you are gonna say that though, make money. OnlyFans shit. So that's the shit we're gonna give on OnlyFans. That's what you need to plug. You're gonna be like, you guys should subscribe to OnlyFans. They'll be like, does he have one? I mean, you guys gonna pay? Who's paying? So, cool. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It was such a blast to get to roll with you and to get to talk to you in person. I was so happy we were able to set this up, and it means a lot that you guys would have me come over here to be one of the first people at the gym. It's a huge honor, and I wish nothing but continued success. So I will definitely be checking in, and let's do this again very soon, sir.
Yeah, November 4th. Hope to see you there, man.
You know what? You did the exact same thing I did. You literally went like this, and it was literally the without. It looked like it was coordinated. It was 100% the power move. But you know what it was? I was like, no, I'm doing the power move, sir. And then you did the exact same thing. So I'm gonna have to replay it. But my thanks and appreciation. I'm gonna close this up. But again, continued success here, sir.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. I'm going to tell you this right now. I hope that you enjoyed this interview. If you did, do me a solid. Like, share, comment at the bottom. And if you're wondering what it is that you should comment about, I want you to give me a good one-liner in the comment section if you made it this far so that he has something in the bag. Because, we got to get those promos up. You know what I mean? Like, give me your best one-liner insult in the comment section so that we could feed it to him. So that way he can tell some kid who's got a hot dog somewhere to be like, shove it somewhere. No. So you can do that. And then also go on over to HY.PAGE/GRAPPLINGHOUR. You can see these interviews 30 days before anybody else. And if you're so kind, you can become a premium member. You can see tape studies with the athletes, breaking down their matches. You can also see people roasting my competition footage, which I think is probably the best segment we have. And you can even check out bonus episodes where we do specialized episodes on things like steroids or even athletes that athletes have respected the most that they've competed against. So you can do all those things, and you can join us on Discord to continue the conversations that we are having on this show. That's going to do it for us here. My name's Rafa Esparza. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.
Perfect.